Well, you made it to the end of day three. Congratulations. That's a big achievement. And you have been obviously thinking about Funder Fit. So I wanted to leave you today with some final thoughts about Funder Fit based on Hallett and Bork's Look for Common Ground on pages 70 and 72. You should definitely take a look at what they have to say. I think it's a really important the way that they point this out. And I just wanted to talk through each of these shared characteristics that you're trying to address when you do best fit and think about what that might mean. So I'll use a very simple example. I have been working with an organization, or I did work with an organization based in Rwanda. It was an organization that worked specifically to address the needs of youth in a post-genocide community. It started right after the genocide, or closer to the genocide, I should say, that happened in the 1990s. It was something that started in the 2000s, but was closer to the 1990s. And so a lot of the youth that were originally part of this organization were orphans. Really, their parents had been killed in the genocide, and yet they had survived. It's still the same sort of mission. How do they help the most vulnerable, the most disadvantaged, and the neediest youth in Rwanda who have been affected the most by the genocide, to help them to get an education, to learn how to be good citizens, to give back to their community, and to be productive members of their community moving forward. It's a group called the Agahozo Shalom Youth Village, and I want to, if anyone from ASYV ever watches this, what a wonderful organization. It was a privilege to work with you. One of the things that, excuse me, has been a part of that opportunity of working with ASYV, though, is also thinking about ways that we can get the work that we're doing with ASYV externally funded. Had a couple of different projects that we originally were considering. One of them, however, was based on a challenge that the Agahozo Shalom Youth Village was facing, and that was that a lot of the female graduates of the youth village were not transitioning very easily or effectively into either the labor market or into post-secondary or higher education. And that meant that they were struggling, especially in comparison to their male counterparts, the other male students that were graduating or leaving the youth village. So thinking of ways to help them transition, quite frankly, into the labor market, help girls who are graduating from the Agahozo Shalom Youth Village, help them transition into the labor market, became a really important issue, and one that the youth village and our Lehigh team was trying to figure out ways to get externally funded so that we could work on this issue. So we had a Lehigh team that got together, and they thought of a really interesting and important idea, which was, how do we match girls or youth, young women at the Agahozo Shalom Youth Village with adult, successful, female business entrepreneurs, and use that opportunity as a way to not only have the Rwandan female youth in the village mentored by these successful women entrepreneurs, but also create a pipeline, so to speak, or an awareness of what was possible for the girls, because there's a handy set of literature that talks about a gender pipeline in education and the labor market, which means that if girls or youth or young women do not see an opportunity for themselves in their lived experience, they don't see other women being scientists, for example, they're probably not going to work as hard in school to learn science or to pursue internships or careers in science as they would if they knew that there were people who came from similar situations as themselves, who were also women, who had overcome the same sort of obstacles and yet were successfully having careers in that area. So we were thinking about labor market transition. That was the idea that the Lehigh team came up with. And so when thinking about funders, we started with that idea, and then we started thinking about these categories, right? Which funders out there, and there was a broad search that they conducted, had a shared mission, were also interested in the transition of Rwandan female youth from school into the labor market. That's important. Or they were there are other flavors of this, right? Maybe looking for a funder that's interested in girls or women's empowerment through economic sustainability or economic independence, or interested in human rights related to girls and women, and that has a lot to do with economic stability and ownership over one's own economic future. The list could go on and on, right? So they're looking for organizations that have a mission that connects to this labor market transition idea for young women and girls. You also have to think about the shared constituency. So in other words, who is the target population? Are they serving a similar target population? And the reason why I say that is there are a lot of organizations that focus on girls and women's issues. Some of them, however, are focused on girls and women's issues in, I'm sitting in Pennsylvania, so I'll say Pennsylvania. Their constituency is girls and women in Pennsylvania. And yet, this Lehigh group that and Agasozo Shalom Youth Village, we were interested in the constituency of Rwandan or post-genocide or some other equally interesting characteristic of that group, other than the fact that they were female. Okay, so we have to find a shared constituency. We want to find shared culture or values. So I'll give a simple one. We, in our partnership with ASYV, we're trying to think of ways that girls and women's economic and career opportunities could be enhanced. We were very much interested in ways that they could have an advantage or at least an equal footing compared to boys in their community. That's a particular cultural and sort of economic as well as moral value. Thinking about the status of girls related to boys or women compared to men, thinking about the traditional roles that are available for men and women in different societies related to economic income. That would be an important thing to think about when you're looking at a funder. Does it match your own expectations? We were also thinking about image related to what is the larger idea that we want to convey. Certainly we were interested in making sure that we represented Lehigh and the Agahozo Shalom Youth Village in the most positive light possible. And one of those lights being providing opportunities for girls and women, especially in this post-genocide context. And so there were also organizations that were interested in providing these kinds of opportunities for girls and women in similar contexts. And their image was one also of human rights related to economic development in that particular female community. Again, shared market, working with the same target population in the same communities that are trying to achieve similar goals. Shared opportunity, ways that we can address this problem. We would certainly be looking for other organizations that wanted to do a type of mentorship program between and address this gender pipeline. So you can tell, knowing what you want to do and what's kind of important to you or what are part of the core values of your organization or project are absolutely essential to creating this best fit idea. And it's hard to really assess what a potential funder's fit is unless you know yourself first. So looking for common ground is important, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with your best fit memos. And of course, if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to contact me.